If you had been here 10 years ago and standing out here and looking up there at the lights and the view, you would have been astounded. The lights were really brilliant, and it was just fascinating. I mean, it was enormous. It just felt otherworldly. You know, in your gut, you could just tell it was otherworldly. And I suspect that unless the Defense Department proves us otherwise, that it was probably some form of an alien spacecraft.
My name is Carlene Green, and I live here in Roswell. My father was in the Air Force, and he was stationed here at Roswell at the time in '47. He was assigned as part of the cleanup crew out at the site. He had the highest security clearance that there were skiffs. Ended up with cancer of the spine. He did not want to die at home. He wanted to die in a military hospital. And as he was laying on the gurney waiting to be loaded into the ambulance, he told me, he said, "Baby," he said, "the story is true." He said, "Don't let anybody try to tell you any different." He said, "The incident happened. There was a spacecraft." He said, "There were grays out there." And I kissed him, and that's the last I got to talk to my dad.
Oh, yes, we discussed it at every conference that we had in the military. There's always things like that going on. Flying the saucers and we've had other things, you know.
797 here, US 98. Loud and clear. 7, go ahead. I'll go to you at 10 o'clock high. This is Houston. Say again, 7. So we have a bogey at 10 o'clock high.
An object which is in the same place all the time but appears to be tumbling. Well, we've had it ever since yesterday. It just seems to be tagging along with us.
We have an unidentified flying object.
My second encounter was while I was stationed in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. It was in 1972. I was working alone that night when I got a phone call from the switchboard operator. He said he had the state police on the phone and wanted to talk to me. He was real frank when he got on the phone and said that there's 3 UFOs over the north tower of the Mackinac Bridge. So I immediately, turned on the radar. When they asked if I had it on radar, I told them no. It's more of a programmed response, thinking back to Klamath Falls, where you're told you don't talk about it, you don't write it down, you don't discuss it. And in the meantime, I called NORAD and told them, and they looked it up, and they said, oh, it's coming up, they're going up I-75. I said, yes, at about 70, 80 miles an hour. Now, about halfway between St. Nicholas and Sault Ste. Marie, there's Kinchlow Air Force Base, which is a SAC base, which they have B-52 bombers. They had two, apparently, that were on final approach, and that crosses I-75. And so apparently they diverted those two bombers because they didn't want, if they have nuclear weapons or not, but they didn't want to take a chance on them meeting UFOs about the same altitude crossing the highway. So they diverted the two B-52s. It was a real eye-opener, how deep the secrecy goes, how deep the cover-up is.
Because tonight he was in my office, and this is what my statement will contain. And at 11 o'clock, he had no statement whatsoever to make. He told me he had no idea what it was, but he said the Pentagon said that he had to make a statement tomorrow. He said, I don't know what I'm going to say. So overnight, he comes up with this theory.
When we got all done with our briefing, it took a couple hours, a CIA man stood up and said, this event never happened, we were never here, you're all sworn to secrecy, and we're confiscating all this data.
A top secret annex to NSC-4, which was NSC-4 Alpha, or 4A, for those of you who are confused by military terms, instructed the Director of Central Intelligence to undertake covert psychological activities in pursuit of the aims set forth in NSC-4, and secretly was to run a psychological operation against the American public to hide the presence of UFOs and aliens. He informed MJ-12 that he intended to reveal the presence of aliens to the American people within the following year, and ordered a plan developed to implement his decision. President Kennedy was not a member of the Council on Foreign Relations and knew nothing of Alternative 2 or Alternative 3 that I can find out. Internationally, the operations were supervised by an executive committee known as the Policy Committee. In the United States, they were supervised by MJ-12, and in the Soviet Union by a sister organization. President Kennedy's decision, of course, struck fear into these people. His assassination was ordered by the Policy Committee, and the order was carried out by agents of MJ-12 in Dallas. President John F. Kennedy was murdered by the Secret Service agent who drove his car in the motorcade, and the act is plainly visible in the film. It was stated in the documents that I saw. The assassin's name is William Greer.
Give this information to the young people of the world in this country. They want to hear it. They want it. Give it to them. Don't hide it and tell lies and make stories. They're not stupid. It's their information. It doesn't belong to the Army or the Department of Defense. It's theirs. If it's classified, take the classification off and give it to them.